Hey everybody, Justin from Critical Pain Studios here. Today on stream, Greedy Twins asked about building up a realistic facial tone. So using the red, blue, yellow technique. We went through that on stream and we were able to quickly do up this in a little under half an hour. So let's get stuck in and see what happens. We're going to do something a bit different. You want to learn? You want to learn? Let's learn. So, move that out of the way. First and foremost, we need a subject. And in this case, we're going to be using this piece here. Now, this piece is just a random piece that I had from a class that I ended up painting over, like repriming black, for this very purpose. So, we are going to go through a quick build-up of a face. And this works in various ways to sort of pick out your structure and tone of a face also. So, whoops, white. Papyrus, you want a flesh base, like a creamy, well, cream, basically. Now, for instance, I've got these down because I'm using chimeras at the moment and I don't want to put any other paints on there to confuse myself because this is a chimera only piece. So we'll do it with chimeras. I'll show you the consistency. Darker skin, the same concepts apply, but instead of using a cream base, you would use a very dark, almost purple, because you're wanting to establish those shadow tones and build up from there. So just mix it up. Okay, so this is a little bit of a warmer skin tone that we're going to do, but the concept works across the board. I've actually just dropped a heap of references in my Discord under painting advice. Now, we'll get to those in just a second, but first and foremost, first thing we want to do is do a full base coat in this tone. So this is just straight on a black model. There's no zenithal highlighting or anything. This is a bit more of a olive skin tone. So we want to get full coverage. Now you can do this with any color base skin tone. So you've got your flesh tones and bits and pieces from various companies. Advanced flesh tone from Pro Acryl is a really good starting for a lot of the main flesh tones that you're looking for. You can build on that by adding browns, more yellows. So this is almost an Asian base that I'm using for this at the moment. We want to get good coverage, cover up all your black. Gonna look a bit like a party clown for a little while. You can even go over the eyes because that flesh tone will help build up your eye tones and things later on as well. Be liberal. We want to cover the whole thing. The way that I do skin tones now has changed in the last few months. Normally I used to build up with various skin tones, skin tone paints, and wonder why my skin tones looked crap. Then I started seeing these Instagram videos of Korean, Chinese, Japanese painters, miniature painters, doing these lifelike skin, like ridiculously lifelike. And I'm like, okay. And then I found a video of someone who breaks down the stages, and I went, ooh, they use slightly different technique than I do, but the result is worth the work. Okay, so we have our base skin tone. All flat, no shading, nothing. It's just the way it is. First step is going to be magenta, yellow, and phthalo blue. Now, depending on your skin tone, if you want, you can change these up. So if you're going for different aspects of things, like you want to add a bit of green in there, more than welcome to. You'll get a nice olive tone out of that. More blue, and sub the magenta for a purple, and you'll be able to do sort of a very cold blue skin, pale lich tone. Now I'm just going to swap over to It's a Sir. Nice. So basic breakdown of face. We want to get a very wet brush so we can have a heavy dilution. It's going to break down into red, yellow, blue. Yellow being the forehead area, red being across the middle, blue being the bottom side. Now this works on both male and female. So working in on this particular model, for basic, we're going to start bringing up some yellow. This is a classic technique dating back to throughout the history of painting. So we've got that very little bit of yellow. Now each of these steps also, depending on the type of skin tone you want, can be broken down even further. I'll explain that in just a second. I'll dry this out. Okay. This is basic structure, and then we'll get into advanced structure. Yep. So you've got your base layer. You then just glaze in until you've got a discernible yellow. But not completely overthrowing it. So, like that. It's not a huge amount, but it's enough. And next we'll do the same with our magenta. Now this is called a tonal map. So that's going to start from below our eyebrows to the bridge of the nose and up through the cheeks, right up to the sides of the head. Now you can go one step further on busts and stuff. Larger than a Space Marine head, because on a Space Marine head it'll get lost in the details. You can seal each step. So your first layer of skin, seal it. And not seal it with a sealer, seal it with glue and water. Or glue and airbrush thinner. So there's our second phase. Now for our final one, which will be our phthalo blue. That one is from below our nose It does, but you'll see it all change once we go in for our second step. So this is I say this is a tonal map. This is more of a heat map, actually, of a face. So around the nose, cheeks area is where most of the blood circulates and pools. Less circulation in the bottom part of the face, where we've got those blues, which will help build our shadows. So that's our basic. Then if we want to go one step further and really bring out definition, this works on larger faces, can work on smaller faces too, if you've got a steady enough hand. But we want to pick out our next areas, which are going to be our secondary lights. So directly under the eyes. It's just a matter of balancing it in. Then a little bit of our red will be for our lips. Now, it's okay that we're going over colors that we've already done. Like in this section, I'm going over the blue, which gives the lips a slightly purple tint, which will ultimately make them fuller. We've also got a very tiny bit more red up through here. Around the top of the eye, but just under where our eyebrows sit. You want to push a little bit more magenta into the high areas of the cheekbones, just a tiny bit more. We want to push a little bit more magenta into the high areas of the cheekbones. Just a tiny bit more. Now, we've also got a lot of flashing towards the end of our nose, I should say. Pretty much from where the cartilage, well, where the bone ends. So, as I said, it will look like a party clown before it looks good. Now, we've also got a little bit of yellow down through here, this section that we were just working on as well. So we'll get a bit more of that happening. So just under the fold of the nose, sort of through these sections, just at the tips of the nose, down along that sort of natural ridge that we have there. And that continues just up to where the cheek connects to the nose. So through there, as you can see. And then we've also got just a little bit of yellow on the little pouty section. So we'll touch in just a smidge more blue, just into colder regions. But that's a typical advanced face map. So that's your starting structure for a face. So then we start to build up just a mix of those paints. Will give you the basis for what you need for a skin tone. So we mix in 3 lots. We just mix with water. With white. Now, if you mix those together, you'll get almost a tan brown. And then it's just alternating between those colors. Because having those colors underneath now, having this relief map underneath, we can then build up any color we want. That's a color theory 101, but it also plays an important part in building a face. Normally, for this particular process, I would use like a base paint, say Pro Acryl, and then I would build in with transparent inks. But these Chimera Velvet Touch, Velvet inks, kind of act very similar to both of those anyway. Now, I'm roughly sketching it, so there's very little refinement at this stage. I'm going in with a lighter tone of our original base color that I've just mixed up out of magenta, yellow, and blue. Because of that tone underneath, we're not losing any of that life that we've just given them all. Because of that tone underneath, we're not losing any of that life that we've just given them all. Even with this one tone, you can see that face already being built up. Going for a bit of a pale European look. Now, there are multiple ways of doing this. This is just the way that works for me. And I usually sort of stick to a style until it no longer works for me, and then I move on. You don't have to get stuck. I'm going to try and preserve this side of the face back to that base layer, and we'll just start building up the right hand side now so you can see what we've done and where we've done it. But is this making sense so far? Have a play. Just get yourself, like if you've got a 3D printer, print out some faces. Hell, get some Barbie dolls from second-hand shop. And I urge you to start out with them primed black, So that way you are forced to build up your highlighting and shadowing tone instead of using zenithal. So I've just added the tiniest amount of magenta now. We're going in, just bringing that up. You can already see there. She's looking a bit dead at the moment, but that will change as we add a bit more of our color. Now, notice I haven't touched the lips yet. Still got a bit of a heavy rise in those cheeks, which will soften down. Lighten up through here. For darker skin tones, you would sort of do a similar setup, but you would lean towards warmer colors. Oh, you could use colder colors in a dark skin scenario as well. It'd make it look a lot more menacing and jarring. But you'd start off with a sort of a purpley brown color to begin, and instead of blue, you'd go like an indigo. Instead of a yellow, you'd probably go a warm orange. And instead of magenta, you would lean more towards a crimson. And you would use those colors in exactly the same way. And then your tonal build out from there would be varying degrees of tans with a white or a cream. And then you just start pushing where your light's going to be by adding slightly more white to the mix and keeping those sections brighter than everywhere else. It's just a matter of getting smaller and smaller. Until you build up that convincing finish. So because of the angle this is on in the light, I'm just working with the light that's in this room. And there's our face. Still a little bit darker around the eyes, but we'll fix that. Only because I went a bit wide on the blues. It is, and this is a demo that I'm just gonna strip. But what? How long did that take me? Half hour? 45 minutes? You've already got a convincing face that you can then add detail. About 30 minutes, there we go, yeah. So what we started as to where we got to. And it's just a matter of continually building it up. So while I've done this on stream, that means it's now recorded, and I'll be able to make a video of it, and I'll upload it to YouTube as well. So good. This is what I do. Someone asks, and if I can provide an example that is adequate and explains the steps, then I will do so on air. And there we have it. A quick little breakdown of the tonal map of the face. This one so you can see what's going on. I didn't do an eyebrow because we didn't get that far, but quite easy to do. That recipe works pretty much with any skin tone, so you can't go wrong with it. Let me know in the comments below what other videos you would like to see me do, what other tutorial videos we do, or you can jump on Twitch and head on over when I'm streaming and ask questions live to get live feedback and live answers. So thank you very much for tuning in. Peace out.